I really don't have an opening statement. There's not been much change since the last time that we've met from bowl preparation. Obviously, I don't have a lot of information. I don't have any information to give you on the coordinator situation. Anything from this point on would be, or from this point back, would be pure speculation. So I wouldn't want to guide you in the wrong direction. I'll answer any questions that you guys have from a bowl game standpoint. Justin Blackman should be back out there running around today. Whedon's practicing, Martinez is practicing, and we're expecting him to get his cast cut off, I think, within the next week. From an injury standpoint, we're a healthy football team. Just bowl preparation, we'll practice today, tomorrow, and Sunday, and then we'll let the players go home for a few days, and then they'll meet us in San Antonio on the 23rd, and then we'll practice from there on a normal week routine with an addition of one day in preparation for the bowl game. Other than that, I don't really have any new information.
Your thoughts just on Arizona? You've had more time to look at that, and your staff has obviously worked on, in between recruiting, on putting a game plan together.
Well, I think they do a good job of getting pressure on the quarterback. Their two ends get up the field. As I mentioned earlier, they're very similar with Coach Stoops being obviously tied in with the Oklahoma group. They do a lot of the same, have a lot of the same schemes on defense. And then the quarterback's a very good player. And as I mentioned earlier, the receiver and the two running backs make some plays. And had played very, very well in the first 2 or 3 months of the season, and obviously didn't play as well as they'd wanted to in the last month.
I know you're not in their staff room, and you've dealt with it just a little bit here, the coaching carousel. They've apparently dealt with it a lot. How tough is that for a head coach to, during this interim period, getting ready for a bowl game, recruiting, and also balancing what may and may not happen within your staff?
Well, this is the most difficult time of the year for us because, one, we're bowl game preparation. Two, recruiting is going full speed. And in our profession, guys move around a lot. And so when that happens, you try to be as prepared as possible to take care of the players. My concern right now is our football team and their opportunity to win 11 games. That's my first concern. Second concern is recruiting. The third concern is coaches, in that order, just because the players come first. And they can be affected by coaching changes, but we do the best we can to not allow it to affect them because we want them to finish the season in the right way. So you just try to do the best you can to make it all work and keep it running, but it changes very fast daily.
Even if you're not in a sport where you can really discuss who might coordinate for you beyond the bowl, did West Virginia follow what you would consider to be proper protocol? Did you contact it in a good way, or were you blindsided by it?
Well, I don't really know that that's worth commenting on now. And I guess I should have said that I'm very happy for Coach Holgorsen, an opportunity to be a head football coach. And when you get the chance to be a coach at this level, I think you have to take that opportunity if that's something you desire to do. There's not a lot of them out there. And so I'm very happy for him and what he was able to get in that transition. I have not had enough communication with anybody from West Virginia to talk about.
Does that bother you? I mean, you've talked about it before, how common courtesy is kind of obsolete anymore in terms of just being informed that somebody might be looking at a coach.
Well, I don't know what practices are across the country. And common courtesy from one school to another doesn't really exist because there's nothing that states that it has to. So I think as head coaches, we're aware of that. But when we go through changes here, we always make the other schools aware of the information that's being passed back and forth, either by a phone call from me or a phone call from the coach that you're intending on or trying to hire to inform the people at the school that they're currently at, if it's necessary. But everybody has their own way of chasing after coaches, pursuing coaches, I guess is a better term.
Did you think you could get a BCS job out of here after 1 year?
Well, nothing surprises me in this profession anymore. It's sad to say, but we talk about it at times. We're almost in an entertainment profession now. And I've said this, we play games based on TV, on prime time, and we're in a situation where 60, 70, 80,000, 100,000 people come to watch us play a game. And the lucrative contracts that are out there now at this level have magnified and have grown to be so big in the last few years that I don't think anything surprises me anymore. But I do want to say that there's no animosity from me toward West Virginia, and certainly not for Dana Holgorsen. I'm very excited. Any coach that's on our staff that gets an opportunity to be a head coach, more power to them. I mean, that's a goal that they try to achieve, and I'm happy for them.
Does any and all possibility exist in terms of what direction you might go, though, ultimately?
I don't have to move very fast. I have some time, and so I don't want to move fast because I want to be able to think it through and make the best decision for the players.
Does that mean maybe have guys do it, or one central figure again, or just whatever?
I just can't give you an answer. It wouldn't be fair. I think about it a little bit each day, but because I have the time, then I want to make sure that it's best for the players that we have on our team, and then pursue whoever that may be, and then handle it the right way when I'm doing it. And I really don't think before a bowl game is the right time to do it for Oklahoma State or whoever that may be. And there will be coaches that are out there that are participating in a bowl game. And so out of respect to them, I would try not to disrupt their routine in preparing for that bowl game.
Mike, do you want to keep the same general offensive philosophy that Dana installed? Is that your preference?
As of now, yes.
But you're open to, I mean, last year you made a change. You're open to making a change if it's something you like?
My goal is to try to make the smoothest transition with the players that we have that are returning for next year. And then you have to try to find who's the best coach out there for Oklahoma State University. You have to tie it all in together. So I don't think there's any guarantees that you can look the same as you did last year. But I do like the system that we have in place right now. And my first choice would be to pursue a coach who could come in and make the transition very smooth.
The decision for him to continue to coach for the Alamo Bowl, was that yours, his, or a joint decision, or how did that work?
Both of us. When we've had other assistant coaches leave to be head coaches, my opinion is always best for them to move on, because there's no way they can think about what's going on at Oklahoma State if they're in charge of the entire university's team, or university's the entire football program. But obviously, Coach Holgorsen is going to be the coordinator for a year. So he and I sat down, and we felt like that it was best for him to finish this season through the bowl game.
You explained, Mike, the scenario a couple of years ago with Zach, that you wanted to keep that continuity. You wanted him not to have to learn another offense, and the rest of the guys around him who are older. You kind of have that situation coming back next year. So is that what you're kind of alluding to? This is a similar situation, and with Brandon being a senior, Justin, whether his decision, how he makes that, and the rest of these guys, that's the important thing for the players, the continuity part of it?
Yes, but you also have to find the right guy. I would like to find the person who fits our staff and what we try to accomplish here and what our thought process is, but then also try to make it a smooth transition for the players.
Mike, is one of the requirements that whoever the coordinator is, he has to be older than your quarterback?
Well, I hadn't thought about that. I don't know that there's anybody out there that's in that position that's younger than him. There is. Who's that? Oh, I don't know Lincoln. I didn't know his age, but you know, there's a few guys that are still playing the big leagues that are older than their managers. So, hadn't thought about it.
Robert talked about what's going on at Arizona, and Mike Stoops having to find replacements. You don't have to do that right now. Just talk about the advantages of having Dana in place through the bowl game.
Well, I think it's good for Coach Holgorsen to be here to finish, and I think it's good for our players. And when you go through a transition like this, sometimes it works out that way, and sometimes it doesn't. You don't know really what to expect. Coach Holgorsen will be in here later on today, and I'll sit down and visit with him again. I don't know if anything's changed from now or 2 days ago when I talked to him until now. But I'll visit with him a little bit later today to just kind of make sure we're on the same page. It's important that he doesn't have commitments with West Virginia that would distract what we're going through here in our preparation. If not, then he's the best guy for Oklahoma State and to coach in the bowl game. But if he has commitments that are going to pull him away throughout the next 10 days, 2 weeks, well, then he's not the best guy for Oklahoma State. So you got to kind of sit down and work it all out.
You have 3 practices with the group where you're going to cut them loose, let them go home. You've always been able to read your guys pretty good, and I know today may be the best day to read since they'll be completely done with finals. What's the read emotionally, mentally, and attitude is the importance of this bowl game for this football team?
Well, it's been very good. I think they're eager to play another game. Now, I haven't seen them in 2 days because it's finals week, and obviously this situation with Coach Holgorsen just happened, and we'll meet with him this afternoon and practice today. But I would expect that they're mature enough to understand what's transpired. I think the players realize that there was a coach on the staff that had an opportunity to be a head coach, and I mean, that's going to happen almost every time. If he has that chance to be a head coach, they're going to take it. So I think they understand that.
Even beyond that situation, though, just their eagerness, like you said, to play one more game, to get the 11th win. You know, they all season long, they've been all about playing.
Well, they enjoy being around each other. They still goof around in the locker room and in the training room and out there at the practice field. And that's why they won 10 games, because they don't look at it as a job and as a headache to be out there and practice. They enjoy being around each other. So I wouldn't expect that to change any at all.
Do you see any big difference in last year's team kind of heading to the cotton with the players and maybe the coaches? How you guys are preparing different than this year?
Well, our preparation hasn't changed this week compared to any other week. We practiced about the same number of times, and it's very similar to what it was last year, which is the same as the last 4 years in our bowl preparation.
Did you ever notice how emotional got on Saturday? Did that surprise you?
Well, Kendall has a lot of emotions that don't really come out in him just because he doesn't talk very much. But Kendall loves Oklahoma State, and I think he was emotional because he had such a difficult year last year with all the notoriety he had received 2 years ago. And I think there's some relief at times. There's a lot of pressure involved in college football players that are expected to perform at a high level. There's an enormous amount of pressure on those guys. And I think at times, once you satisfy that goal, once he's somewhat finished the season and had a really good year, I think there's some relief there. So he can obviously play in a bowl game and then move on with his career. But there's a lot of pressure on these guys at times that not very many of us know. They keep it inside.
What is his football potential? Have you ever maybe what round you're looking at?
Well, it's hard to predict what round, but he'll go pretty high, would be my guess. He's been durable. He's smart. He can catch the ball. He's elusive. He's got a great temperament. And everything off the field from him is an A+. He falls into the Russell Okun category. He never shows up on any list, does everything the right way, and he likes to play the game. One thing you notice, or I notice about Kendall, is we come out and practice in bowl week and it's cold. We practiced the other day, it's like wind chill 25 degrees. And he just has the same stuff on, doesn't even have sleeves or anything on. And that doesn't make you a good player, but he just goes out and practices, never says a word.
I don't hope you've thought about this, Lee, but you've been a part of really most of the most prolific offenses in this school's history, either as a quarterback, as an offensive coordinator, or now as a head coach. Where does this one rank? Because with all the honors these guys racked up at the end of the year and the numbers out there, for you, as maybe the enjoyment factor, where does it rank with you?
Well, it's as high as any of them, other than Barry winning the Heisman Trophy. I mean, because he won the Heisman Trophy, and that year we averaged like 49 points a game back when most people averaged 20. And we weren't in a hurry-up offense. I often think at times how many points we'd averaged if we were at the line of scrimmage and not huddling up. So I would say that because of him winning the Heisman, that was a pretty special year. But this year, from a statistic standpoint and an excitement standpoint, it's been a great year.
But if you took those personnel and ran this up-tempo, because you average, I looked it up, 73 plays a game in 88.
Right.
So, at 80, 82 plays, quicker pace.
Well, somebody can do the math. That's an extra 12 plays by 10, it's 120 plays. So you take the total number of plays at 49 by what we did and divide it in, add 120 more and divide it in, you get pretty close. Be around 60, right? Somewhere in that area. It's hard to compare. They were both great years. But, we want to continue to have an exciting brand of offense here at Oklahoma State. I said that 6 or 7 years ago, or whenever I got the job here, that I wanted to have an exciting brand of offensive football that people would want to watch. And so we were fortunate that this year fell in that category.
Would you like to play this offense?
Mm-hmm. Sure would. It's a lot of fun.
How would you handle it? Would you been pretty good at it?
I don't know. I wouldn't have been as good as Whedon because I can't throw it like Whedon can. He's not as smart as I am, but I certainly can't throw it like he can.
Getting back to Kendall a minute, was there his year this year as opposed to last year, is that a product of the offense, or is he doing something, did he make some change to allow him to have this kind of year?
Well, last year you'd have to wipe out because he missed 9 games. The year before, he rushed for, how many yards did he rush for? About 1,600, wasn't it? 1,600. They're about the same because he rushed for 1,600 this year, 15 something. So,
40 yards behind.
right, so statistically it's very close. Now the difference being we threw for 350 this year, and 2 or 3 years ago we were like 245 throwing. So because of what we did on offense this year, he was able to have success. And he has played in an offense more similar to what they have in the NFL, and he'll fit into that scheme just as well.
Considering you didn't know what to do when you got here, how do you summarize 40 minutes career?
Well, he's had as good a senior year as just about anybody we've had around here with all those solo tackles, and he made the 2 big hits on 4th down. But he's been a great leader for us. I can't stress how important he was to our team as a vocal leader on that side of the ball when we were really young. And through the first 3 or 4 or 5 games, kind of looking for some guidance, he's been really good for us. But he's a guy that changed after he's here a couple years. He decided he likes to play football and stopped missing class, and he started doing the right things, and it's helped him in a big way.
Because of what he's contributed, despite maybe some of his physical ailments, does Jarka go in your all-time respect category?
Yeah, he goes in that, the All-Madden team. I don't watch much pro football, but I see that he kind of falls in the All-Madden team. When you get your knee drained a couple times a week and you go through half of a practice and you don't ever run, and you look, he looks terrible running on the field and running off the field. And then he plays, 50 plays a game or whatever. So you have a lot of respect for guys that are willing to do that.
Mike, last year, when you went looking for a coordinator, it seems like you had some things to sell but a lot of them were conceptual, which is, you know, we've always had good offenses. Kendall Hunter's coming back, but, you know, we like our receivers and quarterbacks, but they really hadn't done anything. This time it seems like you got a lot more to sell.
I agree.
If Whedon comes back, you got the all Big 12 quarterback.
There were some issues.
It seems like you'd have a lot more to offer this year than even last year.
Well, there were some issues last year with that, and the quote that that I made a month ago was, I thought we would be better than what people thought, but there was just no evidence to bring to the table. And well, now obviously we've got some guys that are returning, and we've got an offensive line that's somewhat established now. So it's a pretty good situation here, and I think there'll be. Well, I know that there's a bunch of interest in this job. I mean, I will say that.
Going back to what Bill asked about the BCS job, it's becoming a place where the offensive coordinators here
The head
move
coach.
on to pretty good jobs and fairly quickly. Is that? I would think that's another pretty good selling point.
It is, and I think in my situation, part of the decision that I have to make is if you bring in a guy that's established and has a reputation across the country like Dana did, I think you take a chance on him not being here very long. And so you have to make the decision, is a coordinator of that magnitude best for Oklahoma State, or is it better to bring a guy in that may hang around here for 3 or 4 years? But what happens is when a coordinator comes to Oklahoma State and we're having success and winning games, people want to know why. And then they start looking and they say, well, you know, we want the same setup at our place, and that's why you lose them. I will say that I've gotten a number of calls the last 2 years from guys on our staff that it didn't pan out, but you get a lot of phone calls. And you can always tell because a couple weeks before a bowl, and then after a bowl game, you start getting all these phone calls from different area codes, so you automatically know who it is before you even pick it up. It's coaches or athletic directors calling for permission to speak to your coaches.
Did you just get bombarded with applicants and phone calls after it was official that they understand?
Well, I didn't, because not that many people have my phone number, but the office has, but we will.
Could you see a move from within, or is it going to have to be somebody outside?
I hadn't made that decision. I think we have quality coaches on our staff that are certainly capable of running an offense. And I just have to sit down after the bowl game. I'm going to visit with each of the coaches on our staff. I want to know how much information they know and how much they can give me on what we're currently running right now. And what I did this year, Dave, is when Coach Fedora came here the first year, I didn't really get involved in the offense. I knew a little bit about it. And the second year, I was more involved in learning the offense, so I had a better feel for it. And I did the same this year. I didn't really get involved in the offense. I know a little bit about it, but not enough to speak intelligently on it at this particular time. So I want to sit down with them and find out how much they know in comparison to what we had to execute this year to have success.
Ralph, this is that's good for a staff. Keep moving up.
No question, yes. And last year we didn't because I wanted to change our style of play. And certainly wouldn't want to change our style of play with somebody that hasn't coached in that system.
Did you say you talked about any suggestions you might have in staff or out of staff?
I have not yet. It's moved really fast with Coach Holgorsen, and so I gave him his space because when you're in a situation like he is, where you have an opportunity to sign a contract that's worth that much money, your head's spinning, and there's a lot going on. And I think the best thing for him is to get this taken care of. So I really believe now he'll be much more relaxed and can focus on the bowl game more so than if this would have gone through till the first week in January, because there's just so many things going on in a situation like that I would think it would be difficult to focus on running an offense compared to mean, there's just a lot going on. Coaching staff, who do you keep? You know, who do you let go, and contract and years and money and all that stuff. So
Several times.
You say something about your professional guy you replaced, there was one like 9 and 10 games or something like that.
yeah, it's a little scary.
Several times.
Honestly, I see, because I don't keep up with anybody else. I thought they won like 7 games, and somebody told me they won 9, and I was unaware of that. So, but I don't know anything about what's going on there. I know Coach Stewart just a little bit and have a lot of respect for him. I don't know Oliver Luck, but it's hard for me to comment on anything going on over there. But it is a little scary.
But it's just kind of a statement about your profession and overall.
Go ahead, John.
Several times this year, you've talked about with Dana, you wanted a play caller. It wasn't necessarily the scheme, but you wanted a play caller. Is that what you're looking for going forward, do you think, too?
I think it's important, very important. There's different ways to move the ball and have success. But I think it's important that whoever's calling the plays has a good feel for it with what they're trying to accomplish in their system.
I know you said that no one really could have envisioned the type of production you've gotten offensively this year. You can go down the list several players, but Brandon's got to be up there near the top. Can you talk about his transformation this year?
Well, he's been very good for us. There's times in the first 4 or 5 games of the year that he was his decision making wasn't great, but that should be expected. He went through some growing pains just like every other quarterback. Just because he's a junior and he's 27 doesn't mean he wasn't going to go through some growing pains because of his lack of experience. But he's obviously much better now than when we started, and he's been good for us. He's been durable. He's made plays. He's had good poise, and I would suspect at this time next year that he'll be pretty highly regarded when it comes to opportunity to play at the next level.
What's the next step he can take in his development if he comes back next year?
Well, he's only played in 12 games, so he needs experience, and he'll continue to develop his throwing mechanics, and obviously his arm's very strong. But his ability to read defenses and get a feel of where to go with the ball will be very important. And he'll get better. He'll continue to improve. He has a ways to go, but he'll get better each game.
Do you think his age will scare off NFL people?
No, I don't. Because I don't think there's enough guys out there that can play at that level. I think that he's 28 at this time next year, and in my opinion, I don't have any experience in the NFL, so I'm just throwing this out. If somebody says he can come in here for 4 or 5 years and he can help us, I think they would worry about after the 4 or 5 years if they were able to get a player that could help them.
Mike, you know this too. He's 28, but other than what he did with his arm in baseball, there's not been a lot of wear and tear on his body, right?
That's correct. He hadn't been hit hardly at all. I mean, up until he gets hit about maybe once or twice a game. So he's been hit 30 times. You know, he didn't get hit any when he was practicing around here, and I can't imagine he got hit in baseball. So he's in pretty good shape.
An interesting name that has surfaced since Dana's deal happened is Mike Leach. So, if you thought that he gave you the best chance to have one special season, even knowing you probably have to turn right around a year from today and do it all over again, find another guy, would he be a guy? Well, maybe not Mike, but a guy like that. Even
Well,
if you knew you probably had him for 1 year.
Yeah, it's not fair for me to comment on anybody in particular right now because I haven't had to reach out and contact any coaches yet because I don't have to move fast. And so because of the situation we're in and because of the situation that other coaches are in and trying to get ready for bowl games, it wouldn't be fair for me to comment on any coach right now in any particular area just because of the situation at hand.
But you know the guy. You know him. You've known him before he was a rock star and after he became a rock star. Do you think he could really coordinate with somebody and work for somebody or work with somebody and
Well, I don't know him like
be a distraction?
obviously I haven't worked with him, so I don't know him in that capacity. I know him from being in Big 12 meetings and seeing him on the road recruiting and things like that. But Mike and I have never sit down and talked football or anything related to those issues. So it wouldn't be fair for me to comment any at all. I don't know. I mean, he's still in Florida from what I gather, and I don't know what's going on with that situation. But it would be hard for me to comment on him when that's a long ways away. I'm going to try to move as fast as I can on this. In the first week in January is a good time for me to contact some coaches, and most of the bowl games will be over, so I can start to move a little bit in that area and see what's out there in comparison to what's here on our staff.
Are you planning to go to conventions?
Yeah, I have to be there this year. I'm speaking, so I have to be at it.
Isn't that a little dangerous when you got a opening?
What's that?
You go to convention and you got an opening, I heard that's just miserable for everybody.
Well, I'm speaking at the convention this year. Grant Taft had asked me to speak about a month ago, and so I said I would, and so I'll be there. What you can do is take your wife with you, and then if somebody comes up to her, just tell her that she has dinner reservations. You got to move really fast, and blame her. So, anyway, I have another meeting. I apologize at 10:30, so I'm running a little late. You got some players out there, but we should have much more information on this first week in January. Thanks.